there are 5 questions you want to continuously ask yourself through the process of writing your CV, and those questions are questions that will help you come up with a perfect CV. We've discussed how you need all the other structures, all the structures you need in your CV, but people are still struggling with getting the right sentences and the right word structures to pass the message across. But asking these 5 questions continuously through the process of writing your CV will help you to achieve a very wonderful CV that will stand you out on any job application. Number 1 is who. You want to identify the fact that you are the person the CV is representing. You are the individual the CV is talking about, and your CV is not supposed to be a representation of your company. It's not supposed to be a representation of your team. It's supposed to be a representation of you as a person. Now, after you've asked yourself who and identified yourself as the person, your CV will now be written in language that reflects your contribution to every single thing that you say you have done. The next question becomes, what exactly did you do in that your job or on that your job? You want to quantify the things you've done. You want to write the things you've done in terms of the numbers as much as possible. You want to put figures to the things you have done. Where you've been able to cut costs, you want to put it in terms of maybe the actual amount that you were able to save for your company, or the actual percentage of saving you were able to achieve for that company. And this applies to every other profession. If you are talking about students that you've taught, you want to talk about how many of those students you taught, and then by what percentage did the students' academic performances improve. If you're talking about engineering, to what extent did the quality of the work or the quality of the contracts that you delivered improve? You want to have those numbers there. And that is the question of what. You think about this all the way from your career summary down to all the work experiences and your educational history. The next question is when. You want to think about the jobs you've done. When did you do them in the actual sense? If somebody has done a particular job, let's say 20 years ago, and then another person has done that particular job, let's say as recent as last year, you know that the person who has done that job last year stands a better chance than the one who did the job 20 years ago, because 20 years ago the person was working. Today, the person may have lost most of the skills and may have lost touch with the realities of the industry 20 years after. So you want to identify when did you do these jobs. Like say you were working for 10 years in the UK, you were working for 20 years maybe like in America, or maybe for 5 years somewhere in Africa. But identifying when you did a job sort of gives 2 advantages. One, it makes you stand out in terms of shows how recent your skill is to the particular job, and then secondly, it shows the hiring manager that you know the extent of experience you've got on this particular kind of function. Now you've discussed who, you've discussed what, you've discussed when. Now, just if you stick around with me to the end of this video, you will be getting like I will be doing something that taking a typical profession and then talking about it in terms of in a specific pattern that captures all these questions. Now, the 4th question is where. You want to talk about the locations where you've done those jobs. Now, this is more relevant to certain kind of professions, but regardless, it's still of value across all other professions. If you are somebody in the oil and gas industry, for instance, you will understand that certain areas have certain advantages when you have experience from them. There are certain jobs that will require you to have like a North Sea experience. Some other jobs will require you to have a Gulf of Mexico experience, or some others will want you to have a Middle Eastern experience, or some a Gulf of Guinea experience. Also, you may have gathered your experience onshore, and then another person may have gathered his experience offshore. Those are relatively different kinds of experiences. You want to include where you gathered those experiences from. Now, in including where you gathered your experiences from, it could be the location in terms of the country. It could be the company where you got those experiences. It could be the area of industry that you got the experiences in. For instance, if you're someone in accounting, you may be a tax accountant, you may be some other a management accountant and all of that. You want to be specific enough to say that this is the area where you got your experiences from. Now, that's the fourth question you should be asking yourself. The fifth question you should want to ask, or you should ask yourself when you write your CV, is the question why. Now, you're asking why, not in the form of, again, this is even, we will expand it on two dimensions. The first part, which is conventionally what is written about in an article that's published by someone. I can't remember her name just now, but there is an article that addresses these points that I have just mentioned right now. So in that article, the concept of why was addressing the skills that you have that were able to actually get you to achieve the things you have achieved. So somebody, for instance, has been able to achieve a significant tax reduction from the government, or maybe achieve some form of a subsidy on tax for his company as a tax accountant. And you may want to think of, why was he able to achieve that? He probably had a special negotiating skill, and that special negotiating skill is what the person should also include when writing his or her CV. Now, the second part of why you want to be asking why in the whole process of writing your CV is, why exactly are you writing this CV? Right? And it also touches on the question of what job exactly are you applying for using this CV? What job are you preparing for with this CV? So if the job you are preparing for, when you identify what job you are preparing for, and then you identify why you're writing the CV, of course, you're writing the CV to get a particular job or because you're applying for a particular job, then you'll be able to reflect the realities of that job in your CV. Otherwise, you may just end up with a CV that's relatively vague, not addressed to a specific function. But when you think through all of these, you will be able to get yourself a solid CV. Now, let's look at a typical example. If I was writing my career summary and say I am a tax accountant, what would I do? I want to go to that career section and write something like maybe a chartered accountant with 10 years experience as a tax accountant, working in the Nigerian oil and gas industry for maybe 5 years in the Nigerian oil and gas industry and 10 years in the UK's manufacturing sector, right? With special negotiating skills that has helped me cut down or that has led to or resulted in tax reductions or tax benefits for my company to the tune of maybe 500 and something thousand pounds or 500 and something $1,000. And then at the end of that, I want to also say something like, I want to also say something like, this is the kind of job I am looking for now. Because again, the career section of your summary of your CV should always show what job you are interested in at the moment. If you are a teacher, you can just adapt this to your teaching jobs. If you're an oil and gas engineer like myself, you can just adapt this to your oil and gas experience. Maybe you could say something like a drilling engineer with 10 years experience or with 5 years experience spanning across the Gulf of Mexico and the North Sea or the UK's North Sea. It gives the person an idea that yes, you've got this experience, and then you've got an understanding of the regulations governing those places. These are things you want to do, and then you also want to identify your skills. By the time you do this, you will have got yourself a solid CV. Now, if you love what you have seen, remember to please share this video with all your other friends. Success is coming, And on this platform, we are not selfish with information. We're not selfish with knowledge. We're not selfish with success. These are success opportunities that we'll discuss here, and it will transform anybody who comes in contact with our videos. Please help me and hit the share button. Spread this message to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and let me know in the comment section if you've got any questions. Whatever your thoughts are about the content I make, please drop them in the comment section. I will really appreciate them. And congratulations once again to those of our followers who have won scholarships. For those of you who are still waiting for your time, success is coming. Get ready for it, and when it does come, do not be selfish with it. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us also on TikTok. On TikTok, we are ASAT, ASAT, and you will really like the things you'll find there. Thank you so much, and do have a very good day, a good night, a good evening, a good afternoon, depending on where you've watched us from. Bye-bye.